Welcome to your first Punctibyte and the week of January the 20th. We're heading into what is somewhat of a short week for most of you. That is to say that most lab sections only have one lab. However, Aaron and Erin are super jazzed to have both lab 1 and 2. So I will take a moment to talk about each one of these labs, and then from here on out, I'll run ahead with Aaron and Erin just so that we can make sure that they're all set to go, knowing that most of you really only do lab 1 this week and headed into lab 2 and 3 next week. A couple of things for this week. First off, Jesse and Dalton, you are manning Open Lab, and this gives me the chance to say thank you to Jesse and Jonathan, who were there on Friday for Open Lab to inoculate all of the unknowns. So all of the TAs need to say thank you, maybe bake some brownies or something for Jonathan and Jesse, since they did all of that inoculation. So a big thank you to them. I also wanted to make note that on Thursday, it's the last day to drop. So you might want to remind your students in your section that if they are thinking about dropping a class, no matter what that class is, that they need to think about doing that on Thursday. So recognizing then that because of the holiday, we won't have lab on Tuesday. I'll see most of you on Wednesday and Thursday. And Aaron, you'll be kicking things off in the morning tomorrow morning. And I will go in actually tonight and see and make sure that everything is ready for the lab, because I guarantee that that wasn't done based on the holiday today. So I'll go in and make sure that that does get taken care of. I quickly also wanted to know about Open Labs. I'm actually going to be gone next Friday, so I'm hoping that Joe will be able to come to that Open Lab. If not Joe, then maybe someone else who has already gotten their bachelor's degree, so that can be Callie, and I don't think she can come on Fridays. But I also realized that that could be Wheezy, because you've already got a bachelor's degree, and I can have you work that out to supervise. So that's an interesting note as well. We should talk. So I'll leave on that note. I want to talk about a couple of little things. First off, I want to reintroduce you to Twitter. So remember that you can follow me on Twitter, hashtag the virtual edge, and it's all one word, all lowercase. So just the virtual edge. And so this is where you can find the tweets that I'm making. For example, just the other day, I read an interesting article about how microbial distribution changes with time in soils that are in greenhouses when they're nurseries and things that are used to plant each year, that at about year 11 they reach a pinnacle with regards to appropriate microbial distribution in the soil, and then after that they lose some of their health. So it's just an interesting article. But I want to encourage you to get back on Twitter, maybe start following me or start following things like Nature Reviews Microbiology, and it will help you to help your students, especially Gen Micro TAs, to help them get going on topics that might be of interest to them. And I know that a lot of you keep up on the up and up anyway, so just remember to talk to your students about all of that. So that being said, let's do a quick Canvas recap and review. That is to say, I would like to talk a little bit about something that actually Aaron emailed me about. Aaron Enriquez. He had emailed me asking about how you reset a quiz for someone. So say that in this case somebody got in and started their quiz and then some disaster happened and they have to get back into it. So I want to show you how you go about resetting a quiz. So this will be a reminder for some of you. You just click on modules on the left, and then under modules you just find whatever pretest it is that you want to reset. So this is actually my shell. So if I say wanted to reset the homework, I would click on homework number 1. You guys would click on pretest, whatever pretest it was that you wanted to reset. And then you'll notice if you scan all the way over to the right-hand side and you click on moderate this quiz, once you click on moderate this quiz, you can find the student list. And once you find the student whose quiz you want to reset, you just click on the pencil right there, and then you can add an extra attempt. So for this student, Aaron, you would just add an extra attempt, and then you would just say, if it was beyond the due date, you would say manually unlock. You would click the box that was manually unlock the quiz for the next attempt. If it wasn't past the due date, you wouldn't need to do that, and then you just click save. And that allows that student to get back in there and to redo that quiz. The other question that's been coming up with regards to Canvas is using the mobile app, and I think some of you have found that. But I'm going to put a request out there, and some of you are listening for sure, Schwa and Sydney and Trevor. I'm putting a request out to my Canvas group to maybe put together a short little tutorial on how to use mobile to access and grade in Canvas. So let us know if you want to maybe head that up. Maybe Sydney, I don't know if that would be something you would be excited to do or not. So let me know, okay? All right, so that being done, let's move along and look at the TA guidelines for labs 1 and 2. That's what I'm going to pull up next. So remember that these are on your jump drive. You'll find these guidelines, and these are really helpful as you're getting ready for the first lab. Remember, before lab begins today, you just want to make sure that you have enough media. That is, we need TSA for each student and TSB because they're doing the finger and they're also doing the swab. They're also doing a cough plate, so make sure you have enough. There's a lot of TSA that we're going to burn through for this lab. So that's the first thing that you're going to want to do. I will be giving the lecture, though I do think that I heard Spurlock say that he was going to deliver the lecture for his lab section. And then Joe will be delivering the lecture for the Med Micro sections on Monday and Wednesday. So we'll be doing this first one. It's pretty nuanced. We have to pause, show the students how to use a microscope and whatnot. So Joe, if you would like to maybe have Aaron go through that when he does it on Tuesday morning, or if you want to talk to me about how I go about that part of showing them how to use the microscope at the same time I'm giving the lecture, you just let me know, okay? So there's a lot of good information in here that I encourage you to go through, particularly on how to handle the microscope, because while I'm covering the microscope and microscopy, I'm going to ask you to go around individually to the students and help them out. It's important that you really pay attention to who's struggling and help them right away, because we don't want to just like turn the other way and be like, ooh, that student's, you know, not doing a great job. You want to actually engage, because remember that they're going to be working with these for a really long time. So if we can stop any big errors right away, this is a really good time to do it. So there's also some hints and pointers in here for how to help students with certain commonly experienced problems, and that's something you should check out as well. Finally, at the end of this TA guideline, there are some examples of things that students might see. For example, diatoms come up a lot. So if you want to just know what it is that you're seeing, these pictures may help you as a quick review beforehand to help them figure out what kind of proteins might be showing up on their slides. That being said, let's talk about Lab 2 TA guidelines. So let me pull up Lab 2. And the first thing that I want to say about Lab 2 is that sometimes it's kind of rushed. So it's important to be ready, and it's important to keep students on task in this lab, because I don't want them to feel stressed. It's also really important to let them know that we're not going to be upset if they don't finish everything. And there's always time in open lab if they want to come in during that lab. The other thing that I was thinking about is that this might possibly be a good time to flip the classroom. That is, to have me make a vodcast, and for at least certain sections to have them watch that ahead of time before they come to lab. Maybe you'll have some sections that would like to do that. If it's possible for me to get that done, I will definitely do that. And we'll see if that might be an approach that we could use in the future, or one that students seem to like. Up top, you'll see that there are some hints and pointers that I give for getting ready for this lab. We need to make sure we have drawings on the board of both of the stains. We also need to be ready to demo the negative stain. We actually will have them start with the negative stain because it takes a while to dry. So I want one TA in each lab section to be ready to do a demo. So for most of you, this means next week, but for Aaron and Aaron, it means this week. So be ready to go and be ready to demo this negative stain. That'll be done right away. We'll set that stain aside, and during the lecture will be an excellent time to talk about or to let that stain dry while we're talking about the overarching concepts of staining. Once again, this TA guideline goes into a lot of those overarching concepts, so take some time to go through that. Also, remember that we will need to show students how to go to the oil immersion lens during this lab, because from here on out, they will always have to observe their bacteria using the 100x objective. So it's important that they really know how to use that oil immersion lens. So be ready to demo that as well. As demoing the negative stain and the smear prep for that negative stain. Okay, I think that gives us the lowdown on what's to come in labs 1 and 2. And hopefully you're feeling kind of jazzed about getting into the real heart of the class. I'm going to wrap things up there with the knowledge that perhaps there's something that you might want to reply to all to this email if you have a question, or if you just want to clarify. Returning TAs, if there's anything that you want to tell the new TAs, just feel free to reply to all on the email that I send the link to this Punctibyte. And I hope you all had a super awesome extended weekend.